Hello, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are located right now. Welcome to our open webinar on Security Operations Center demo with Microsoft Sentinel. So let me introduce myself first. I'm Madhuja Kamath in the pre-sales of CSOC here at Cydia Cybersecurity. We also have with us our CEO, Mr. Ashwin Chaudhary, and my teammate here, Mr. Jatin Mandalia. So let's now move on to what we can expect today. We can expect a 1 hour session scheduled today with 15 minutes at the end for Q&A. Questions will be answered to the Q&A box, and there are polls at the end as well. So without further ado, let me start by sharing my screen. So let me know if you can see my screen. So to begin, I wanted to introduce a Security Operations Center. I'm sure you know what it is, but I thought it's essential for us to set the context right at the beginning. So, what is a SOC? A SOC is basically a focal point for all logs that come in, right? It improves the organization's threat detection, response, and prevention capabilities. So, it all basically comes down to a central location. That doesn't mean that we cannot have a distributed SOC. They are a possibility as well. So what my point is, it basically boils down to an operational focal point for monitoring, analyzing, responding, and recovering from all measures of a cyber attack. Now that we know what a SOC is, let's move on to why it's even needed, right? So we've collected some data, and data basically shows that the total cost of a data breach is increasing every single year globally. Now, in February 2024, as you can see on the screen, we see that the cost comes to 4.88 million USD dollars. Now, another study, it shows the initial entry points for the threat actors. We noticed that they were mainly web applications. We also noticed that exploiting vulnerabilities tripled this year, and ransomware was a top threat. Let's move on to another study. It took organizations about 277 days, 277 days of average time for an organization to understand that they were compromised, which is a whooping number. Now, this has a technical term coined for it. It's called the dwell time. So, this basically brings us to the core issues that the organizations are facing today. We want to reduce the dwell time to near real time, and we want to generate alerts without the alert fatigue. This is the perfect use case for a cyber security operations center. Now let's focus on the need for a CSOC. It's a cybersecurity nerve center, for one. We need to be on a watch 24/7. Cybersecurity vigilance is necessary, which means organizations would have two choices. They can either hire full times for CSOC activities or they can pivot. Now, pivoting sounds very costly and complicated, right? So it's basically up to you as an organization what you'd like to do. We need swift action against threats, which means we need rapid response. And this comes only when we have complete visibility. We need data-driven insights and threat intelligence to inform defense. Threat intel is basically used to correlate data from earlier to what is happening currently in your environment. So basically, all in all, SOC is a frontline defense. And of course, it comes handy with the need to comply with mandates, right? Um, SEBI has recently come up with a circular on 20th of August that you might want to refer to for compliance mandates for CSOC activity. Now let's move on to the components of a SOC, right? There are 5 of them listed here, but there can be a sixth one as well. It's called the XDR. SIEM, as you can see, is a combination of two terms. It is a combination of two functions as well. It's an information management and an event management. Now we get real-time security monitoring through SIEM, and we can analyze these events and maintain data logs for compliance purposes. UEBA, on the other hand, is basically on the user end. We can detect anomalies based on user behavior, and we can use this to streamline our intelligence. So you can basically monitor user anomalies through this, basically. Yeah. SOAR, on the other hand, is when you want an automated response. It's impossible to keep intervening through manual processes. This is where SOAR automation comes in, and we have SOAR functionality built in into our solution. Coming to IDS, IPS, these work in tandem with firewalls, WAFs, they help SOCs monitor the network functionalities for incidents and potential threats. EDR is for endpoints. Now, I get a question basically on what is the difference between UEBA and EDR, right? UEBA is basically it analyzes user behavior, but EDR focuses on the activities on individual endpoints. So now you may ask, what are the types of SOCs I can go for? Which brings us to 3 types. There are in-house SOC capabilities, outside or outsourced SOC capabilities, or staff augmentation. In-house SOC. Now, it's very specific to companies that recognize IT as their core competency, right? It's very expensive to set up, for one, and it involves a great deal of maturity that the company should have at the end on the company's side. Okay, this is best for companies that want to go for on-prem and invest majorly on their cybersecurity returns. Next is the outsourced SOC capability. Now, any outsourced security staff or function will always be routinely supported by the company. So they cannot basically operate in a vacuum, right? So that's what happens there. So execution will always be outsourced, but the authority and accountability are not. This means that the service provider needs to be aligned with the company's mission. So let me give you an example. Ensuring a CIA triad or a confidentiality, integrity, and availability in a modern digital enterprise is a very big job. It's not easy, and different organizations view the CIA triad in a different light. To understand this, let's see, an organization's security requirements, we mostly need to understand the mission of the organization and be aligned with it. So that's where you say that you need a trusted partner there. Next, we come to the staff augmentation part. SOC is executed and owned by the parent organization here, with the external vendors hired to provide staffing to the SOC. Okay, so introducing our key features to our SOC. It's basically an iterative process. We work together to first identify what a threat is initially. We identify what is an alert, what is an incident, what can be an event. And then comes the prevention, detection, response, and improving upon. Improving upon is basically nothing but forensics, right? This helps us put in action what we are using to discover using our CSOC. How do you evaluate a SOC? There are multiple things in this. You can assess the performance, the effectiveness, and efficiency of a SOC, right? And there are quite a few metrics to do that. but we can discuss this if you have any questions later. Okay, monitoring is important. Let's move on to the use cases for a security operations center. Number one, we must remember that not all threats are external. There can be internal threats, and some examples would be, for example, former Tesla employees leaked PII data to a foreign media outlet in 2023. It was a database of 75,000 whooping current and former employees. So that's a lot, right? On the other hand, there was also something in 2020. A group of inside agents in Twitter, now X, they fell prey to a social engineering attack. So there can be two types. I'm not saying which is which, but it can be intentional, it can be unintentional, whatever the case may be, there are insider threats. Number two is privilege account access, right? Companies have a very broad access at this point, and they're broadening it day by day. They're using VPNs, they're using technologies, they're constantly evolving technologies to grant access to users across the world, globally. And with this comes the need of visibility and to keep an eye on all privileged accounts. It's also essential to deprecate generic admin accounts in this case. Number three is hunting for threats. Now, threat hunting is a completely new ballgame. ML and AI, they can all be used for this. Threat hunting is actionable, and we provide that in our solution. Let's move on to the man-in-the-cloud attacks and ransomware attacks. Now, man-in-the-cloud attacks and ransomware attacks are both complicated, right? We want at this stage to monitor a broad range of attacks. We want to monitor these connections from different points in time, different sources in different points in time, or generate alerts based on the attack scenarios. To add to this, we also simulate a ransomware as an attack as a different service. And this is the breach and attack simulation service to test your SOC's resilience. So if you already have a SOC, this is a good service to go for, and you can always get in touch with us for this. 6, investigating attacks or incidents. Now, using automation and ML can help greatly reduce false positives. And this provides us context needed to produce actionable insights. It's important to understand the who, the what, the when, and the where in the event of a security breach. Great. Now let's come to an important part, our Security Operations Center, Microsoft Sentinel, that we offer. Now, we believe that you can outsource the heavy lifting of a CSOC to a trusted partner, right? And we also believe in using a cloud-native SIEM solution. Now, why is that? There are multiple advantages for this, starting from scalability. Then there is flexibility, real-time data, improved security and compliance, rapid deployment, whatnot. There's also cost efficiency to add there. It's a SIEM and SOAR comprehensive solution. So we can get the entire bird's eye view across the enterprise using this. We can work with various data sources with ease. Data localization is possible. What does that mean? We store the data in your geolocation compliant to privacy policy. We can also align it with the MITRE ATT&CK framework. Microsoft Threat Intel minimizes false positives. These are some of the features of Sentinel. So now this is how the attack matrix looks for Sentinel. It defines how your good detections are, how good your detections are, and the attack that you can customize these detections on. So there are basically multiple other use cases we can always showcase if the need arises at any point of time. At this point, we have a demo based on a MITRE attack framework to showcase attacks on a web application and detections in Sentinel. So we've hosted an application for a demo. We call it the dark hole. Let's look at the MITRE attack framework first, and this will help us to map the tactics, techniques, and procedures. I'm going to quickly shift my screen. So we see here we have 14 tactics, right? All the way from reconnaissance, resource development, initial access, all the way to impact. And now we're going to map attack scenarios for displaying the first four tactics. That's the reconnaissance, the resource development, the initial access, and the execution. So we're going to get multiple alerts based on this. We're going to get it in 4 parts. So we start with a recon or a directory fuzzing scan. This should basically trigger multiple sets of alerts. We are looking at 2 alerts, requests to rare files or requests to sensitive files. So when a recon is going on, they can request files such as shadow files or password files. These are sensitive files, and we want to know when such files are requested. So that is the first part of it. And then as the demo progresses, you will see when we have created a user account, what kind of alerts we're getting, and all the way up to a malicious file executed. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. I'll request my team, Jatin, to share the screen now. Great. So my team Jatin is now sharing the screen, and they are the attackers in this case. So the steps we're going to follow for an attack scenario are as follows. We have an application that has a login functionality. Now an attacker is going to exploit it as a normal user that they have previously registered as and now escalated their privileges as an admin user. So now we're going to directly get into the application using an admin account. Now, as an admin user, you see attackers have access to a file upload functionality. Now, this file upload functionality, the attacker is going to exploit to get a reverse shell into our application server. So let's see. Now, the attacker is going to listen for a connection using netcat at this point. So as you can see, we are going to open a netcat connection to 1234, and it's listening at this point. When we have a reverse shell, we'll be able to see that this listener has got connected to our server, which means an attacker has access to our application server. So let's see now, they're going to trigger the file there and see if we get the access there. We're connected, right? We've got the shell of our application server. And this is dangerous arena. So now that we see what the attacker has done, now let's see what kind of alerts are produced on Sentinel. So I'm going to share my screen now. So we are on Microsoft Sentinel, and I go to the dark hole page, log analytics workspace. Now we see a lot of alerts and incidents. Let's look at them more closely. So we are looking at 3 alerts basically at this point. One is the user registered alert that we got. We got this alert as an informational alert severity, saying that, okay, a user was registered in our application It was only used to let us know that, a user has registered in our application, and this need not be malicious. Look at the next one that came in. We got an admin account access via an unknown IP. And this was a medium level alert. So what this meant was this was generated when the attacker basically logged in as an admin user from an unknown IP that was not known to us. This was important to understand because the attacker first signed up as a normal user and then got admin privileges. So both of these together actually made a lot of sense to us. Now let's look at the application. We'll go to the incidents now. Now we've got the most important incident here. We'll look at one of them. And this is the NRT Apache server compromise incident. This is classified as a very high severity incident by us. So when the attacker got a connection to the application server, a log was basically created in the Apache server. We got those logs to our Sentinel environment, used KQL language to create an incident, and so this is the malicious file executed an application server compromised alert or incident. Now that we looked at the scenario, let's look at the advantages of Sentinel. So with Sentinel, you can actually connect a variety of data sources to the scene. We connected our Apache server to the Sentinel, but we can connect any Windows machine, any Linux machines, any AWS or GCP logs to a centralized platform. Now, the real advantage of Sentinel is also the SOAR capabilities that it has. Now, I have another small demonstration in terms of that. Let's go to the incident. Click on incident actions. I'm going to run a playbook. So basically, we have created an automation flow to generate emails when triggered for an incident. So I'm going to quickly run this I'm going to show you that I have no emails from Sentinel at this point. I'm going to run this. And we are showing a manual intervention here for demonstration purposes, but we can easily automate this process, okay? And we're going to see that an email popped up in my account. And there. So we can customize this email according to your, we can create a Slack email, you can create a Slack channel or, whatever it needs to be. So that was for the SOAR. Let's look at the incidences. So now look at the incident request to sensitive files. We can easily investigate this incident. It's a nice spiderweb diagram that comes up as an incident is shown up. And we can go to related alerts, see aggregated nodes. We can see that password file was accessed and what was the related alert from that. And the security analyst basically has a lot of grasp in one page. Here you can see the timelines and the entities that were mapped to this, all of this all in one go. So that's the power of having the investigation here. Okay. Now another part I wanted to show was the overview page. Our overview page is pretty nice and simple, and it's not complicated at all. But wouldn't it be nice to visualize the data on a dashboard that's customizable? Like, I don't want to view all of this, but I wanted to view only about my Apache server, for example. So there's an option of workbooks. You can create any kind of workbooks that you want, and we have an Apache HTTP server workbook here. We're going to see that workbook. We can actually demonstrate that a lot of HTTP status codes were generated basically here, as you can see. There were a lot of successes, client errors, redirects, what kind of unique IP addresses actually accessed our website, web application, what the top files that were requested at any point of time, what were the latest files that were accessed at any point of time, and so on. We can easily customize this. You can edit each of these graphs, and right now the visualization is pie chart. I could easily change it to a bar graph or a bar chart, and look at all this information very easily and nicely in one page. So that's about it from my end. I'm just going to, yeah. So I'm going to look at the Q&A, and thank you for taking the time out to hear us out. And there are a couple of announcements I wanted to make. First of all, I wanted to just introduce our company. So I'm going to share my screen again quickly. So we are basically an end-to-end cybersecurity company. We are a CPA firm based out of Denver, Colorado, and Mumbai, India, and also UAE. We are an empaneled auditor with PCAOB. Assidur is an ISO IC certification body for data security and privacy audits. We are empaneled by Cloud Security Alliance as well to conduct cloud security CSA star audits. We provide VAPT services, audit services. We also do technical assessments, and we provide 24/7 managed CSOC services and breach and attack simulation services. We are a certain empaneled auditor. We have 20 plus years of experience in the cybersecurity space, and we have 99% repeat clients. These are some of our services that we offer. There's another announcement that I would like to make. We are also launching our SC200 Microsoft Sentinel course on Assidur's eLearn portal soon. Please write to us at info@assidur.io. The course link will be on elearn.assidur.io. And we'd be glad to take any questions and anything apart from this. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now.
So, Madhuja, while we're having questions, can we run the polls?
Yes, we're definitely running the polls now. I've run the polls for everyone to, vote for. If we have any questions, we'll look at them, or if not, we can give you the time back.
So there's a question if the man in the middle attack is also same with the man in the cloud attack. So I think it's something on the similar lines. So man in the middle attack and man in the cloud attack is more or less on the similar lines. I would not like to go more deep into it because that's not a subject of our discussion today. Our subject of discussion is CSOC. So if there are any more questions on CSOC, I'll be more than happy to take them. We'll wait for a few moments. In the meantime, please complete your polls. So there are no more questions. So I think, and we already have the poll results. So if there's nothing else, we can give back the time to all of you. I personally thank everybody, those who have joined this session. I hope this was fruitful. If you have any specific use cases that you would like us to address them in a specific one-to-one demo, we will be more than happy to do that. And if you have any specific requirements for your company's CSOC or for anything related to that, please get in touch with us. And thank you once again for joining. Madhuja, you have anything else to add?
I think you've summarized it perfectly, sir. And thank you so much, everyone. We'll look forward to any kind of use cases from you and any kind of questions from you on email as well. Yeah. Thank you so much. So
Thank
should I conclude the meeting?
Yes, I think so. Yes. Thank you.